Good morning. You know, it's a pleasure to be back with you. 6 years is too long. And while I recognize many faces in the audience, none of us have changed in the last 6 years. But what has changed is the speed of which IT has changed and the role that intelligent networking is playing within it. And I think our industry is about to hit the next wave in terms of relevance of changing the world, changing healthcare, education, business process, etc. But it's going to require our ability to change at a pace that we've not done before. And while it will create opportunities, it will also create challenges. When I talk about today, if I'm enthusiastic, I don't want you to read anything into that about how my current quarter is going. And if I look a little bit tired, it's because I go around the world a couple times every month now in terms of the travel. That's 3 years of law school put to work. A little bit of joke there. But if you watch the pace of change, and this is something we all get excited about, and you heard several of the people comment on the video earlier, how fast the cloud is changing things, how quickly mobility is changing things. What does big data really mean to our future? What does this new breed of applications occur? And while we in the tech community, and you, part of that community leadership, we're excited about it, the pace of change for the business leaders is unbelievably abrupt. The change in terms of their new business models, how they do innovation, how they grow, how they interface with their customers and their employees differently. How do they do this on a global basis? How do they literally do this with security? The average company in the Fortune 500 25 years ago is not in existence today. Only 24% of them made it and still on that list. 87% of the companies in this room today will have a major shortfall in revenue in the next 10 to 15 years, and your CEO knows it. And only 10 or 11% of you will recover, according to MIT, and the studies being done. And the point that I'm making is we in the IT community, as you combine networking and IT, have the chance to lead through these transitions with the technology issues we just talked about, but bringing them to life to solve the business needs of companies, of governments, and of countries. The pace of change is exponential, and the challenges that go with it will be exponential. New business models, much of which enabled by the new forms of IT, will come at a faster and faster pace. What we see with an Amazon.com versus a Walmart. And watch how each of them continues to reinvent themselves as they move forward. You look at it from an IT perspective. We all grasp the key trends that are going on. Client server has moved to mobile device and cloud. This new breed of applications, which used to run, quote, on a mainframe, now are more consumer-like in terms of their implementation, and they will exist throughout the entire network at every node. We'll put capabilities for merchant silicon, UCS there, as well as custom. You will also see data analysis change because it isn't so much crunching big data in a data center. It's now about data in motion at the edge, in the retail store, in the car, on the manufacturing floor, in the hospital, that gets you the relevant information and the time that you need to make real-time decisions to change policy, save lives, and to increase more sales. And the CEOs are wrestling with, is the IT department an expense department for me, with the majority of the future expenditures going out to the business units, or is the IT department the enabler to achieve my growth, to allow me to do innovation at a faster speed, to focus on these new business models? And I would argue it should be the second. But that means how we respond together. And so my goal today is during the first two-thirds of the presentation and the demo to share with you where the industry's going, and then in the last third to say how we're interpreting that for where we will go as a company. The ability to bring this to life is about everything being connected to the internet, everything becoming IP enabled. And if you go back 25 years ago, there were less than 1,000 devices reconnected. And now we're talking about a proliferation of devices that will be mind-boggling. I'll do that in a moment. But what the industry leaders, the people who really disrupt in this industry, and make no mistake about it, we are going to be the disruptor. What they do is each time this becomes mainline, they move. When all of a sudden voice goes into IP, that's when an industry leader moves. We might not have known how to spell IP, as several of our peers said, but we knew how to get 65% market share for telephony. We understood that as video came over, what did that mean? We understand that as electricity has moved around, how do you do that in smart plus connected communities? And it's the ability to capture that as you move from literally a PC environment to any device. The ability to bring this to life, and the next big wave is going to be around the Internet of Things. It will be implemented by combining things with process, with business change, with people. And it will drive a productivity number and a financial number that is mind-boggling. The network will literally become the computer. We talk about the cloud, but you're going to have cloud in a central location and fog at a local location. You aren't going to know or care where the applications reside, where the processes are, where the storage occurs. And so you will see the disruptors in this industry move along this line. Now, I'm covering a lot of material, and I think very often a lot of speakers can get in front of you and say, just trust me. I'll remind you what I said. I did an Information Week article this morning with Rob Preston, and I looked up what I said to him in 2005. In 2005, we talked about the importance of intelligence in the network to integrate data, voice, video, and move it across networks. We talked about literally how virtualization of resources and services would occur. We talked about application-aware networks, and if you believe that, you're going to move into the data center. And here was a slide we used in Las Vegas just 6 years ago. We said, here's where the industry is going to go. Here are the key elements with the industry in terms of as the network becomes the platform for not just communications, but for all forms of IT. You enable new business models in that. Innovation will be around build, buy, partner, and integrate. Yet very few companies do that well. Our philosophy on execution, number one, with minimum 40% market share or don't compete. And then how do you combine all these products together in what we called architectures? And we said the OSI stack, which is 7 layers, will collapse to 3 to 4. You look back, it was pretty accurate. Now, where we think the industry is going to go in the future is even more exciting. If you look at the 2000s, data, voice, video over the network literally combined together drove many of the applications and the changes that cloud and mobility really enabled. Then you begin to look at our move, for example, into that data center that I talked about. And what do? Simple concept. Compute, i.e. servers, storage with our storage partners, the network, and we combined those and once again drove multi-billion-dollar business to where, along with our partners, when you talk about data centers and innovation, it's almost always Cisco and our storage partners that lead the way in terms of what your data centers are doing. Now, here's the real exciting part. You haven't seen anything yet in terms of what this power means. The future will be about application. You can call it an application economy, but it's all about application intensiveness with the intelligent networks, with the ability to scale quickly, connecting a huge number of devices and applications in a way with security and trust. And I think that will be not just the next big thing. I think it will power our industry for this next decade. It's the ability to then say, where does this go in terms of direction? And the ability to look at how the industry moves from what I would call a web economy looking backwards for the last decade to an application economy looking forward. On-premise IT to literally cloud-based services. The ability to think about IT delivered as a service, and now it'll be about applications delivered as a service, but with scale and security. Operational models that no longer separate development operations, but they'll be integrated together, open, automated fashion. An environment that was box-centric that suddenly becomes application-centric. And you begin to see where I'm going with this. Now, what's going to enable this isn't just the internet and everything moving to IP. It's going to be the explosion of devices, including many sensors, et cetera, that provide the capabilities for application downloads, that provide the productivity and change our lives. Look at the numbers, and this is why I say it goes up exponentially. 1,000 devices connected to the internet when Cisco was formed in '84. Then we got real excited in '92 about 1 million devices. 2008, finally 1 billion. And you know where I'm going. 10 billion by 2010, 50 billion by 2020, and that number's probably way too low, and 500 billion not in the too far future. We all know about the explosion of mobile devices. But it isn't the device the issue. That's the enabler. It's the ability to bring applications to these devices, which if you can program literally to each device and to the edge with common APIs and common interface to the network, think what this is going to change. 77 billion application downloads next year across the world. $77 billion. Up from just 10 or 11 billion 4 years before. So when I talk about an application economy, you could begin to see how this changes every industry. You can begin to see how it changes education, completely will turn on its head in terms of when you attend class to discuss things and view the lectures, if you will, over the internet. It will literally cause businesses to transform themselves. And we've always talked over the years about change. Everybody likes change, right? You're married, right? Same joke I've always had. You like changing your spouse? He's sweating already. The point I'm making is even when you trust somebody completely, small changes are hard, and yet I'm talking about the survivors. Notice the word survivors in each of our industries are going to be those who learn how to change with tremendous speed. But speed without process and a design behind it does not work. So its ability to capture this and realize that as the network becomes very important, and 1,300 of your colleagues in 13 countries said the network is much more critical to deliver applications than this a year ago. And that's before we started talking about application-centric infrastructure. And the ability to think about app intelligence in terms of the user, the device, the location. The ability to program this in a mobile and cloud environment. And open with simplicity will be the future in how we're doing. How you doing? You begin to look at the 4 generations of the internet. The first one was all around just email and connectivity. Second one was e-commerce, and that's where board of directors started to come to Cisco. But they understood, the CEOs understood, and the government leaders understood, this would transform their company or their country. The third we've talked about a lot, social, the ability of mobile, the video capability in this environment, and the cloud. But the fourth one, when you begin to combine all these devices, but more importantly, the applications, changing every industry, every element of entertainment, etc., that's when IT becomes relevant at a whole different level. And when we first started discussing this with CEOs around the world, that they were interested, they were polite, because we've often got the transitions, as JJ said, right. In fact, almost always got the transitions right. But they didn't understand the relevance of their industry. Today, when you talk about 14 trillion in profits and you break it down by individual manufacturing, individual automotive company, individual healthcare, individual retail, how it's going to change literally your car as you drive around the world, that changes how people view it. That's the opportunity in front of us, how you break this down in a meaningful way. And it really is about how the network and the data center become almost virtual. The changes that you make in this application-centric world as you move forward. The ability, just like we talked about data, voice, and video coming into the network literally 10 years ago, and it set the pace for a decade, didn't it? Now you're really talking about the capability for compute and storage in the network to change the whole data center concept and lead in it. And next move is going to be around applications with the network, with scale, with security. That will be what we will talk about over this next year, and we will implement it through architectures. The ability to think about this in a traditional market terms with data center, where server separate from storage, separate from the applications. The network made up of a number of boxes, proven applications that work reasonably well. The movement into software, and make no mistake about it, we will implement software capabilities to find networking throughout our environment. But software by itself will not get the job done. As we all know, it will be a combination of compute, storage, applications, infrastructure at every level. And that's what you're going to see us lead with as a company over this next year. An application-centric infrastructure that gives you the best of the ability to change rapidly, hit your issues on programmability and openness, but transform your business in a very positive way as you move forward. In my terms, you want this to be very agile and flexible. We talked about how quickly business models would change. It's got to be simple. It's got to be programmable. And program means focus on the application relative to your industry you're in, not trying to make a bunch of different boxes that were not designed to work together come together. The ability to think about how security plays in every aspect of this, and privacy, and to do skill and performance. And it's going to be built, in our opinion, on a combination of capabilities. Software, very important. Hardware, very important. Architecture, very important. Both, if you will, merchant silicon and custom-made silicon, and then services going across it. We look back 5 years from now or 6 years ago, if I have the good fortune to be back talking with you then, this will be the biggest move that IT has seen. Now, when we talk about these concepts, it's sometimes very hard to grasp. So we found the way to do it is often to have a demo that ties everything together in terms of what this means to us, how does it play out in the industry. Jim Grubb has been my chief demonstration officer. Jim, we were doing connectivity of automobiles 15 years ago. What are we going to talk about today? Right. However, I'm guessing it's going to be healthcare by the way you look.
Well, you know, I'm not a doctor in real life. I only play one on TV. But in any case, yes, we are going to talk about healthcare. But this could be healthcare or manufacturing or retail or education or any of those environments. We're using healthcare just as the example to show some of the capabilities that you've been talking about. Yes. So we're going to start in a hospital here. Okay. And we're going to check in as a patient or as a visitor to the hospital. So I've got my mobile device.
So this is the same whether you're going into a hospital, whether you're going into work, whether you're checking into a hotel,
checking into an airline,
a retail location, going into a store, etc. Right. Concepts are identical. So as you think about this, it applies to every industry or government agency.
Exactly. So here I've got my mobile device, and I'm going to open my web browser here in the hospital, at the front of the hospital, and I'm being brought to the redirect page, the Wi-Fi redirect page, where it now gives me ability to connect to the hospital's Wi-Fi for free, and I can register with my email, or I can use my Facebook credentials to log in. So I can log in with Facebook. Now this is something we call CMX for Facebook Wi-Fi, and this
so in simple terms, this is really cool. This is combining social networking, unstructured data, the ability to work together with a key partner like Facebook.
That's right.
To really make it a seamless experience as you go into the hospital.
Right. Exactly. So now we can use those credentials then to give you specific services based on the fact that you're now on that Wi-Fi network. Yes. Now I'm going to check in, and of course I can check in privately, or I can let my friends know. I can do either one. I'm just going to go ahead and check in privately here. And this brings me to the Metro Hospital Facebook page. But the banner on the bottom of the phone here is a location-specific banner that you see here. So this is injected by our Cisco CMX, the connected mobile experience, and allows you to put in special offers, or in this case, I'm going to click here on My Appointments, and it'll open up my Metro Hospital app on my iPhone, and it'll check me in. Now that I'm checked in, the doctor knows that I'm here on their medical iPad application, but also you'll notice in the patient's room that we have over here on the other side of the stage, the entertainment, the cloud DVR, which is coming from a service provider, has been provisioned and is automatically up and running. So when I walk into that room, I'll already have my television available.
So in my term, any device to any content, any combination of networks across any combination of clouds, easy to use where the complexity is literally put into the architecture of the network and the policy that goes with it. And then really combining it with the social unstructured data, the video capability, the voice all in one.
That's right.
I got it.
Right. Now let's show you how we might provision one of these services. So I'm going to provision a service for a doctor, and I'm using the Metro Hospital IT dashboard. This was built on the APIs that we provide now into the infrastructure to automate, to give you that fast ability to move from a business perspective, John. So I'm going to click here on CMX, and I'm going to add...
CMX means?
This is our connected mobility experience.
Okay, so that's what we're doing together with Facebook. And Eric, thank you for being here to announce that with us.
That's right. We're using the credentials from Facebook for that. And so I'm going to say when doctors who are in patient rooms where, so we're taking identity that comes from our identity services engine, and where coming from CMX patient rooms, and then we have policies, view an electronic medical record or provision the room for a physician visit. And then when I click here on enable, I'm now configuring all of the pieces in the network that need to happen to allow that new application to run.
Well, it's not just all the pieces in the network, it's access to the appropriate amount of data with privacy directed to a location.
That's right.
And this could be in a physical room or it could be a virtual conference, etc. Now, all of us know, how long would that take you to do it in today's environment for one patient? The answer is it's cost prohibitive. Even if you could get it done in time.
That's right. So let's give you another example. I'm going to configure quality of service. So here I'm going to say the nurse call application is going to go into the highest quality of service, critical.
That's because if somebody's paging the nurse and they're in real pain, we got to make sure that goes through.
We'll put the IP phones and the electronic medical record in high, and we'll put cloud DVR in low. And now, instead of doing what you would have done before, configuring custom queuing on every device in the network, I just click here on Enable Easy Quality of Service, and we're now provisioning that quality of service across all of the network infrastructure so that we're doing it holistically here, John.
And that, again, is a combination of local intelligence, local processing capability, policy from the cloud all the way down to, quote, fog at the edge.
That's right. So here I've got my doctor's iPad, and I can click here to go ahead and take a look at the patient's record.
Yes.
And then we're going to move over into the patient's room.
So any device to any content.
That's right. Now, as we step into the patient room, the location-aware network knows that I'm now in the patient's room, and a couple of things are going to happen.
So user, device, location.
That's right. The cloud DVR has paused because we're interacting with that. My IP phone has been re-provisioned, so this is now my desk extension in the patient's room with all the capabilities that I might have on the new DX650 as an example. And I get all of this capability automatically based on the location. And it provisioned itself as I walked across the room to give these new kinds of capabilities. So John, you know, this is just a couple of quick examples, and like you said, this could be used maybe to check you into the airport or into the hotel. Think of walking into the hotel and not having to go up to the front desk to check in.
Well, think of a retail location where literally with the appropriate privacy protection, you could watch and see how a consumer, what they want out of your store, what they don't, increase your sales that way, get them to really where they look forward, having that virtual assistance.
So I just brought a quick diagram that you've been seeing animated in the back, and I just want to talk about it briefly to explain a couple of things here. So you talked about architecture.
This is basically how you take complexity out of the environment and put that into policy and products and openness that make it easy to program something that was almost impossible to do before.
So this is a combination of that programmability and the elements that we have at the platform layer.
Okay.
So our mobility architecture, which we saw to interact with Facebook and get our credentials and provide access across the network. Our collaboration architecture, where we were incorporating the telephony and the DX650 here.
Now, about architecture, you're talking what occurs at the platform level, what occurs at the application level, and what occurs at the infrastructure level, where they talk to each other.
And the components of each of those.
And then each of us out in this audience, we basically program to meet the needs of our business, as opposed to program to try to get all these pieces to work together, not designed to work together.
Exactly. So here's our video architecture, where we saw the SP Video Cloud incorporated here into our application. Here's the Cisco One network programmability, where we were able to configure the QoS and move flows around. Here's the security architecture, which of course has to overlay all of these components. And here's the data center architecture, where we have the ability to configure the fabric and storage and compute elements. And then the unified access architecture, which allows us to have a single access layer for both wired and wireless and provisioned across both of those platforms. And then, honestly, it's about all of these things coming together, because you need each of these components to be able to deploy just the kinds of applications that we showed here. And you've got to make that easy. You've got to make it very easy for us to move quickly to solve our users' problems.
Jim, it's amazing. You take complex things, and even I can understand it. Thank you very much. Well done.
Thank you.
As all of us know, anytime you do a demo in front of thousands of your friends, you worry about it going well or something happening in the background. You're always relieved when you're through the demo. But as you talk about this, now what I'd like to do is say, all right, here's where the industry's going. Here's why we think it's undeniable where the industry's going to go. And here's what we're going to do as hopefully the leader in this industry, but also as you begin to think decision-wise of where you want to go, the value we bring to you to be able to achieve your business goals and how you move forward. But what you just saw took concepts that have to be designed into every product, designed into software, designed into merchant ASICs, but also individual developed customized ASICs. And this allows that flow to occur at tremendous speeds. It allows you to focus on where your value is that you bring. It also does something, and this is where our industry peers miss the window. All of our peers state on a product, a switch, a router, collaboration, wireless, if you will, mobility in terms of where they're going. When in fact, the market will be about how you bring these all together loosely and tightly. And so when all of a sudden you can look to you as a customer and a partner, and you're delivering to your CEO's requirements, and you're able to say, I can bring the best in class that was designed to work together to the new stage, next generation of IT, which will only be 3 layers, not the 7 layers we talked about last time I was here. And the ability for every move we make, for you to be able to understand where this goes into that architecture and brings the best-in-class products. And if you look back, I'll just remind you that as we did this, every product up here had over 40% market share. The ones who did not, areas such as security, we just did a huge acquisition with SourceFire that's going to be in intrusion protection, that's going to be in firewalls, that's literally going to be next generation in terms of malware. And in the area of servers, remember when we entered the market 4 years ago and people said Cisco will be out of the market? We combined server with network with storage. And almost every other server in the market is commodity-like today except the UCS, which is growing at 50%. We're going to move that UCS into every networking device and custom ASICs into every networking device. And you begin to see the cloud, which literally we were not a player in 4 years ago. Number 1 player, only 16% market share. But what we bring is best-in-class products that were designed to work together with software-defined capabilities built into every one of these products as we go forward, and the ability to literally allow you to focus on, for your environment, how do you bring this to life to meet your business needs? Now, last time I was here, I got beat up pretty hard, and fairly so by several of you, about mobility. 4 years ago, it was our Achilles heel. Today, we're number 1 in every segment of mobile except radio stations, and we have an idea how to get that one. But we did it by designing off this architecture. Every move we make, every acquisition we did, every feature we developed, literally slides into this. How do we become number 1 in SP Wi-Fi, number 1 in small cell, number 1 at the edge of the network, number 1 in wireless LANs, and the ability to bring it life in the cloud all the way through. That's what is the Cisco magic. But what it is just hard lifting. So now when you think about where we think the industry leader is going to go, they have to have architectures. And you remember when I used to tease about an Indian architecture and people said that's the Indian product? My mistake with the southern accent. The point that I'm making is these products have to be designed to work together. Your job's not to be a systems integrator. Your job isn't trying to get ASICs that wasn't designed with even the foggiest idea of what the person was doing software to work together. They should be designed from the beginning together. And then even before you bring out your first ASICs custom, you should already be putting more software into it for the next generation. This is the game that we think will win in the next generation of IT. This is a strategy that we believe the leaders, and we're clearly going to try to be the clear leader, will employ. We talked last time about number 1 and number 2 in markets, and you saw the results. But the ability to acquire, to innovate, to partner is so key to our future. To catch these market transitions and help you focus on time to revenue, how you get new business models and adjust to it, and how you do this with simplicity and management and openness. Watch what we've announced or about to announce this last month alone. The ability to bring the next generation of nervous system within the network to where you have a central routing and server capability that literally allows you to download the entire Netflix library in 1 second. The ability to put ASICs on that, which allows you to do that, not custom-wise, but literally designs 11 million lines of code into this with 4.2 billion transistors into it, with the ability to say, how do you bring this to life? This is $250 million. That's why I have a security guy following me around. The ability to implement SourceFire probably next week, to integrate in one of the, if not the leader in security in elements that we needed to focus more on in intrusion protection, next generation malware, et cetera. And to have a culture where the 167 acquisitions we've done have a success rate that is well over 60%. In an industry where 90% of them fail, if you define failure, did you gain market share? Was it a good decision for your shareholders? And did your customer get the benefit? And I'll be back this next month to announce Insemi. You know where I'm going with it. Application infrastructure is going to be the future. The ability to think about how does this go in the data center and throughout the network. The ability for how you bring this to life with a combination of merchant and ASICs capability, software-defined capabilities, an environment that allows you focusing on your business opportunities or problems. How many companies do you know could even acquire? How many do you know that can do internal spin-ins? We've done 3 of them. Each one of them have been billion-dollar markets for us, plus in the #1 position. How many of them really partner with storage players like EMC and NetApps effectively that change a market and become the leaders in the data center? We think this is what differentiates us from our peers. We're very open. We compete against market transitions, not competitors. But as you think about the future of this industry, regardless of your decision on Cisco, however, if I can help you, I have some strong opinions. The ability to say the leaders that are going to lead in this industry, they're going to make those transitions I just showed you. It's a given that it's going to be an application-centric environment. It's a given on the proliferation of devices. It's a given you cannot be a systems integrator who pulls this all together, no matter how big you are. So our goal, very simply, is to take this to the next generation of networks in the data center. And when we're here next month, it's going to be all-around application-centric infrastructure. Thinking about it first in the data center, but then throughout the wide area network, all the way down to the access point. The ability to bring to life these new applications. And this is the exciting part, and this is where things are back in vogue. 10 years ago, on literally the network economy, we would have board of directors, executives, CEOs get really excited about IT and say, how do we do this, e-commerce, and change my business models? You're seeing that again. You're seeing the realization that the role of IT will not, in my opinion, be delegated to the business units. It will be done in combination with the business units and the IT community, solving the CEO's top priorities and goals. And you're now talking about digitizing a company or a country. The ability, literally, if you're talking about a country like Israel, to talk about job creation, one of the most advanced technology countries in the world, inclusion of the Arab population, healthcare, education, all the way down through this environment, an innovative society. And when you talk to a large company that has a couple 100,000 employees, and you talk to them, why do you combine the IT department with supply chain? It's all because those are the two things that make this company go as the interface to the automotive industry, as the interface to the consumer industry, as the interface to the oil industry. And you're talking about doing this in a period of months, not in years. I think the leaders in this industry will get market transitions right, that will be driven by customers, and that will have architectures that allow you to focus on solutions. What does it mean to you? I think we're about to enter the next era where IT is so innovative. The ability to solve the top business goals or government goals of your company or your country. The ability to adjust to change in as close to a future-proof environment as possible. The ability to capture this new role of the Internet of Everything and to bring it to life. There's going to be a brutal consolidation in this industry. Brutal. Just like there was in communications, you're going to see the same thing in IT occur, and it will be an application economy. What I'm talking about today isn't proof of concepts that is 3 and 5 years out. I'm talking about painting a roadmap for the whole industry, where the industry is going to go, and how we are delivering on it today. Thank you very much for giving me the chance to share views today. It's been an honor. I won't wait 6 years to do it again. Thank you. Thank you.